Rise, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, children of the Lord. That's what my mama used to say to her 6 children getting up for school. But the song really goes, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, soldiers of the Lord. Good morning, everybody. You should be praising him, worshiping him, right? Giving him the hallelujah, the glory, the acknowledgement, because you were chosen this morning, just like me, to rise, to rejoice and be glad in this day we will never, ever see again. And for that, we should be grateful. And more importantly, we should make the best out of this day by being of service to him and to our fellow human beings. Yes, I'm Edwina B., your spiritual coach, and Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, as you can see. But guess what? God loves me, and I love me too. But before I get started, listen. The month of March, oh, wait a minute. The month of March is my mother's birthday, right? And I'm gonna let you know now. I'm gonna cry, but they tears of joy. And so I have a testimonial song that I dedicate to my mother for the entire month of March, because March the 23rd is her birthday, although she transitioned on May the 6th, 2016. However, listen, I will always love my mama. My mama prayed for me. Mama, I want you to know. And guess what? This testimonial song is called Waiting for My Child to Come Home. This is the song my mother would ask the choir to sing every time she went to church, because she didn't know where I was, who I became, and what I was doing. But she kept praying and she kept asking for this song. And I was able to sing this song to her before she transitioned, letting her know that her child has come home. All right. And this version is by the Souvenirs, the Jackson Souvenirs. Okay. So listen. And if I cry, join me, because they're tears of joy. You see my child somewhere as you turn. I'm waiting for my child to come home. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my child to come. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my child to come. If you take, come home. Would you please send me a letter? A letter would mean your so much to me. No child may be so. Oh, it's a day. No, no one that you love. It ain't my name is you're my child. I'm waiting for my child to come home. And mama, I'm home. Mama, I'm home, mama. I'm home, mama. And so are you. You are home, mama. You are home, mama. Oh my God. Lord, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Ooh, I told y'all, listen. Join me on March the 23rd, the day of my mother's birthday, on my second Free to Hope presentation, as I share with you and you share with me the journey to transparency and authenticity, right? Being set free from recovery, emerge enlightened, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. And so, listen, I can't wait to take this off, right? And so, when you are faced with adversities, challenges, trouble, and the one person, majority of the time, it's the mother who bore us, feels the most pain. And whatever God has planted in her, she did her best, now that I know. But waiting for your child to come home reminds me spiritually of our Creator waiting for us to come home. Before He calls us home, there is something He wants us to do. And that's why I want to share my journey with you and you with me on the road to transparency and authenticity. Why? Because on February the 23rd of 1990 was my first day free from alcohol, drugs, prostitution, and the whole lifestyle. And I cried out from underneath a parked car. I'll tell you that if you join me on February the 23rd, how I got there. Whoever they say you are, take me out this life now, or show me a better way. And He has shown me a better way. As of February the 23rd of 2023, we celebrated 33 years in this marvelous light called recovery that is spiritual in nature. So therefore, I want to go to our topic today and share with you, right, how using the Alcoholics Anonymous programs, 12 spiritual principle, incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family, and transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. I want to give you my perspective, and I want you to develop your own while we also listen to a person's perspective and recovery. And so each day, each morning, when God wakes me up, I'm prepared to give you the spiritual message for today. But don't look at this. This is just a mask, because underneath that parked car, weighing only 90 pounds, face all sunken in, dark circles around my eyes, right hair all short and matted, I knew then that the mask was gone. because I cried out those words that I mentioned earlier, and I haven't looked back since. And so the makeup, the wig, and all that I wear right now represent my culture and my heritage. And so I do snatch off this wig. I wipe off this makeup. I even take out these dentures just to show you how transparent and authentic I am. So check out one of my previous presentations and you will see the real Edwina in disguise. Okay? So for right now, let's get to our reading today, because you know that I dissect these words. And I want to give a special shout out to my dear friend, Hope W. She is very versed in the scriptures and she is one of us. But God took her on another route to become so interested and so comprehensive and reading and understanding and delivering the scriptures. So she is helping me in a lot of ways, and I in turn am helping her with the 12 spiritual principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so today's reading is all about the spirit, a world of the spirit. Oh, I can't wait to dive in. So I want you to open up your spiritual ears to listen. And I want you to open up your spiritual eyes to read with me so that we can get the spiritual message that's intended. You ready? Let's go. I can't wait. All right. So I'm going to read it to you first, or you can read with me. Okay. It says here, March the 13th, Daily Reflections, a world of the spirit. Okay. And our co-founder takes a quote from the AA Big Book on page 84 that states, "We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime." And the person in recovery shares his perspective. The word entered and the phrase entered into the world of the spirit are very significant. They imply action, a beginning, getting into, a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth. The spirit being the immaterial part of me. Barriers to my spiritual growth are self-centeredness and a materialistic focus on worldly things. Spirituality means devotion to spiritual instead of worldly things. It means obedience to God's will for me. I understand spiritual things to be unconditional love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, and humility. Anytime I allow selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear to be a part of me, I block out spiritual things. As I maintain my sobriety, growing spiritually becomes a lifelong process. My goal is spiritual growth, accepting that I will never have spiritual perfection. Let's dive into this. Let's start with the title, right? Let's just start with the title, right? Let's just start with the title. It says what? It says what, y'all? It says what? It says a world of the spirit. A world of the spirit. When you hear that, what comes to your mind? A world of the spirit? Now, if I was a child, I'd be thinking about a boogeyman. I'll be thinking about something creepy, I'll be thinking about, it says Casper the Friendly Ghost, but just the way I was raised and what I was taught, it seemed like a world of the spirit. It wasn't of love, peace, and all that kind of stuff. It was the boogeyman, scary, and so that's because I found out, right, doing my 4-step inventory, there's nothing wrong with me, but there's something that happened to me. And furthermore, incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family, they state that we are, and I totally agree, we were domesticated to believe what our parents, our environment, and what the world was telling us, even though they were lies. Majority of them, right? And so when I think now about the world of the spirit, I get excited because I now know that this is, listen, y'all, I might have to take this off. This is the physical body, right? That the Creator gave us, the only one we have. But the question is, what spirit or spirits occupy this vessel? And so now, and doing my 4-step inventory, I now know what that saying. I'm from Philly, and they have steak stores. It would have on its billboard, right? Spirits and wines, right? And then some of them had the nerve to say good spirits, right? And so I'm like, but it wasn't until recovery that I found out if you drink our wine, if you drink our liquor, you will experience a different spirit. And they had the nerve to say a good spirit. Really? So now I know that this vessel, right, on this earthly journey can be occupied and manifested by different spirits. Spirit of lust, spirits of hate, spirits of deception, spirit of dishonesty, right? All of that, right? Using the same vessel. And so now when I think of the world of the spirit, I think of the universe. I think of the light. I think of all God's creation. I think that I think of the light within me, right? It is a different perspective. Why? Because I got different information. I experienced different things, and they were all of a spiritual nature. So a world of the spirit. All right. So let's dissect this. Okay. Let's go here and say, let me hide this. Okay. It says here, we have entered the world of the spirit. Now, okay. We have entered the world of the spirit. I believe, and I know because I experienced it, this is the result of having your knee-bowing experience that is designed to happen so that we can confess with our tongue that He is. He is Lord. He is. Because until then, we think we are God. We think we are the man. We think we are the woman. We think that we got it right. We got it all together. But guess what? When we shared yesterday about surrendering self-will and how our self-will could not, in my case, remove me or deliver me from underneath that parked car, but my self-will got me underneath that parked car, and that was my knee-bowing experience. When I cried out, whoever they say you are, take me out this life or show me a better way. That was my beginning, I believe, of entering the world of the spirit, God's spirit. Donald Lawrence says we are not natural beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings encased in walking this natural experience called life on this journey. And so it is designed for each and every one of us to have that knee-bowing experience so that we can cry out, He is, and to ask for help, His guidance, His direction, for Him to order our remaining steps. But before then, we had to become humiliated in most situations in order to bring about humility, entering the world of the spirit. Okay, so let's go on. All right, he says here next, our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness, right? He says our next step is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. So the 12 spiritual principles, right? Adopted, formulated, developed by Alcoholics Anonymous, a spiritual program offering 12 spiritual principles 12 spiritual steps, traditions, concepts within a spiritual fellowship. Dr. Carl Jung told Roland. Roland came back and told Bob, Dr. Bob and Bill, that what we need is divine providence, divine intervention that will create a spiritual experience, therefore making us have a spiritual awakening of the spirit that will create a psychic change. And so once we right into the world of the spirit, we have more to do. We have to gain understanding, right? One word, one sentence, one paragraph, one page at a time to get the spiritual message in order to have that experience and that spiritual transformation and that spiritual awakening, to have that psychic change. Right? And so utilizing, learning, internalizing, conducting surgery, right? Assessing, evaluating, right? Deciphering those 12 spiritual principles called the 12 steps will create all of that, right? And we gain understanding to the point where they become a part of our life, and also they become effective. Because now we are applying spiritual principles to earthly matters. Okay, you got that? All right, I got more to do. All right, okay. Then he says, right, this is not an overnight matter. It should continue for a lifetime. And see, this is where a lot of people get stuck, right? Because when we come into Alcoholics Anonymous, depending upon what age you are, and depending upon your knee-bowing experience, I thank God that he is a God on sacred time, not like man on secular time. And so if we look at our condition, we did not become alcoholic, addict, a prostitute overnight. When we do our 4-step inventory and we utilize the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, we will find out where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, belief systems were formulated. And that did not take, that didn't happen right overnight. Right? I came into recovery at the age of 34. I'm 67 now, right? And been in the process for 33 years. And even each day that I awaken, I learn something more to apply to my spiritual development. Right? And so I know now, I didn't know in the beginning that it was going to be a lifelong process, but I understand because they told me to keep it in today, one day at a time. And right. And so I recognize that everything is a process. Everything is a process, and it's not going to happen overnight. Okay. So then let's see what the person in recovery shares, right? They say, right, let me move this. Okay. They say the word entered and the phrase entered into the world of the spirit are very significant. And as I shared my experience and my strength and my hope, my wisdom and my perspective, he agrees. All right. And so let's see how he dissects it even more. He says they imply action, a beginning, getting into, a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth. Okay. So they imply action, right? I can't come into a spiritual program that's offering me spiritual steps, spiritual traditions, right? Spiritual concepts within a spiritual fellowship. I can't just come in there and sit there. I didn't do that in the hit house or the speakeasy, right? Or the crack house or the bar, right? Even as a prostitute, right? No, I didn't just sit there. I got into action. Right. And so now that we entered, right, the world of the spirit, and now that we are embracing the 12 spiritual principles, right, then we know that being in action and getting into is a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth. So just like me, I go to my meetings every day. I call them my spiritual appointment. Like I have a doctor's appointment, I go to my spiritual appointment every day. I have spiritual advisors who are members of the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, who do not judge, who do not criticize, right? But embrace each other's, right? Stumbling, falling, tripping in a forward position so that we don't go back to where we were delivered from. Okay. And so that is going to help me maintain my spiritual growth, right? And so then he says, right, blah, 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 blah. The spirit being the immaterial part of me. The spirit, okay, let me read that again. They imply action, a beginning, getting into, a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth, the spirit being the immaterial part of me. And so let me break that down, because most people say, like, I'm just human. I'm just human. What do you expect? I'm human. Blah, 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 blah. No. You're not just human. We are a human being. And most of us focus on the material, the humanness, not realizing, which is why you have to have that need bow experience, that there is more to you, right? It's just not about the material, the humanness. It's immaterial. It's the spirit that's occupying this body. Okay, so that's what that means, right? From my perspective. Then he goes on to say, right? Barriers to my spiritual growth are self-centeredness and a materialistic focus on worldly things. Now, guess what? We can all relate to that, because we think by having materialistic things, having status, having prestige, right, having money, having all these material things, right, is our God in some respects, right, until we find out that those things do not provide what we need for our spiritual growth. If anything, they are digging us deeper, right, into the grave, into death, right? And so when we embrace the spiritual principles of the program, right, we acknowledge our spiritual, our barriers, which are self-centeredness and a materialistic focus on worldly things. I never understood in another fellowship where they say wear the world like a loose garment. Okay, I don't like baggy things. People like fitting things, and yet, right? No, but I understand it from a spiritual perspective, and that's what Donald Lawrence says: apply spiritual principles to earthly matters, and you will have peace, tranquility, right? You will have joy. You will have happiness, right? Because you're not letting these worldly things affect your spirituality. It's the reverse. We apply spiritual principles to earthly matters. Okay? And so he goes on to say, right? Spirituality means devotion to spiritual instead of worldly things. It means obedience to God's will for me, right? Coming from underneath that parked car, when I hollered out, whoever they say you are, take me out this life or show me a better way. I came in with my hands up. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. Whatever you tell me to go, I'm going to go. No matter how long it takes, I am following you because you chose me. And when I do stumble, when I trip, and when I fall, and that is expected, it will be in a forward position and not in a backward position, because I'm practicing turning my will and my life over to the care of God, a God that I even didn't know, right? So obedience to God's will for me, okay? I ain't got but a couple minutes, right? Okay, and he says, I understand spiritual things, right, to be unconditional love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, and humility, right? I now understand what the word unconditional love means. I understand what joy, patience, right? All the things that they said, right? Patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, and humility. Through that humiliating experience, I gained humility. So for me, that's what the spirituality realm offers. Who wouldn't want that? I know I do, and I have it, and will continue to strive for more. I'm greedy, And so the last thing he says, right? He says, anytime I allow selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear to be a part of me, I block out spiritual things, And so I thank God for the Ruiz 5 agreements, right? It says, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make any assumptions. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. Has enhanced my spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh my God, I'm on a different level. And now recently with the Transformational Teachings by Dr. Sonja, I'm on fire. I don't represent the song that I played. I don't represent AA. I don't represent the Ruiz family. I don't even represent Dr. Sonja, but I represent the God who met me, delivered me as I was from underneath that poor car. And therefore, I will always practice to the best of my ability when I have those other character defects to pause, hit that pause button, say, help me, help me, help me, help me, because I'm not going back. All right. And then the last thing he says here, right? He says, right, as I maintain my sobriety, growing spiritually becomes a lifelong process. My goal is spiritual growth, accepting that I'll never have spiritual perfection. Woo, woo, ooh, 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 ooh. As long as the student is ready, spiritual teachers will continuously appear until we become spiritual teachers and we become ever so ready as students. We will be able to share that with one more. That's the goal, to help one more free from recovery, emerge enlightened, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, one person at a time, right? So in the world of the spirit, I thank God for my spiritual transformation, and I hope that you are ready for yours. And if you have yours, to pass it on. So remember, join me on March the 23rd for my Free to Hope conversation via Zoom on the journey to transparency and authenticity. You will be getting information from Eventbrite to register. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love me. And guess what? The Creator loves us all. Have a blessed day. If we are blessed to be here tomorrow, I'll be here, and I hope you will too. Ooh, Lord, I love you. I love you.